I have a special guest with me here today to talk about a special and important subject that's very dear to my heart. Michael, welcome to the show. Please tell the world about yourself.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Michael Pereira. I am the founder of the Autism Voyage. It's a blog and newsletter that basically caters to, I would say, any type of content a parent's looking for when they have concerns about their child maybe having some sort of symptoms or signs around autism or special needs. Also provides resources for parents post diagnosis, for example. And obviously, we do offer other things, but that's the main goal to be a centralized source for parents.
Wow. Okay, so I have to ask why work in autism? What's bringing you there?
Yeah, of course. So my background is corporate. Came from corporate a couple years, but my son was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder in 2022 under the, there's different levels. He's in the mild one. So he's highly functioning, but at that point, a lot of things happened prior his diagnosis, right? So me being in corporate, traveling, COVID came by, I was able to stay here. So a lot of signs that we saw reduced. But when COVID released, I started traveling again. All those signs and symptoms, whatever you want to call
Wow.
it, came back full force, hitting his head against the wall, tiptoeing, aligning stuff. He was starting to talk a couple words, regressed. A lot of things happen, right? It's very difficult to mention just in a couple of seconds how
Of
many things
course.
happen. Long story short, I started looking for other employers to see if I can do the same travel less. It didn't happen that way. I started looking for my own, I would say, financial advisor, financial planner, and everybody, Julio, everybody just wanted to sell me something or recruit me. Nobody really talked to me about the special needs planning, right? Because you're going through those dark moments, asking yourself dark questions, and you want to know, hey, if my mother is the best grandmother out there, I would say.
No.
It's very
You're
difficult.
biased. You're biased a little.
She really is. The thing is, I was also concerned because she's the best one, but physically, she cannot take care of it. It's very difficult for her. She can cook awesome. She's lovely. But when you go and see how, okay, he's on top of the sofa, he's running around, it's very difficult for her. So I started thinking about, hey, if something happens to me, who's going to take care of him because my
Of
mom can't.
course.
And you start asking all these questions, and every time I spoke to somebody, oh, just buy a term insurance.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey,
Bye.
yeah. Before talking about even an insurance, how do other families, approach this? Do we need to first talk with a lawyer to talk about special needs trust, guardianships, power of attorneys? Should we buy insurance, different type of insurances, just for different layers to build a foundation? And nobody took the time. Just came to a point that I left at that moment, corporate, my head wasn't in the right place, and decided to create a blog again to be able to address everything I was looking for at that point,
Please.
and also provide services in insurance planning as what I was looking for.
Nice. So you found the need, and
That's it.
that's pretty cool, actually. That's personal branding. That's pretty cool. So I do have some questions. So I have my grandson is diagnosed uh, as well, which I didn't understand what autism was, because in our, back then, that was just if you were climbing on the couches, you're just a bad kid. And that is what it is. Did you, when you saw these symptoms, did you have an idea before getting the diagnosis this could have been it? Or what did you think?
That's an awesome question, and we were in denial. And that I think that from a parent standpoint, that happens a lot.
Yes.
And obviously, when going in denial, I've mentioned this before in a couple of places that, when we are in denial, that basically speaks about how selfish you are
Oh,
because you're only thinking about yourself. You only think about what you thought that your life was going to be, how you feel, how you think. And it comes to a point that if you're only thinking about yourself, the only one who's getting jeopardized is your son or your daughter. Because you need to now distance yourself from your thoughts, your beliefs, and really deep dive and see what's happening, that you're having a gut feeling that something needs to be addressed. Because if you're in denial and you're having, this phase of procrastination, that can avoid an early intervention.
Which is everything, right? And that's in this situation, it's the
I
early
would I would
intervention.
say in any situation, because even if you don't apply it, let's say to special needs or autism, and let's say you feel something's hurting in your body, right? Don't
Yeah.
procrastinate.
And you don't do anything, it gets worse and worse.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm very, very close to my kids and even closer to my grandkids. They're like my kids. So when my daughter said she was taking him to get tested, I was in denial. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I didn't see it because for me, he's a great kid. He just likes to play a lot. But I'm so happy she fought against me. She said, I don't care what you said. And she did it. And it opened my eyes. I felt selfish. I felt bad that I was like getting in the way of progress. And he taught me about me because I went and got tested afterwards.
Mhm,
And I am on the spectrum as well.
mhm.
So he taught me to open my mind up, and it's everything. And she's worked hard. She's got him the help he needs, and now he's speaking. He's in regular school. So yeah, so good for you that you put yourself aside. That's the tough part, right? That's the
It is, but what you just mentioned, and thank you for recognizing what in your case, because a lot of us, including me and my wife, we tend to incline ourselves to look for validation from our parents, right? And that's dangerous in some
it
cases,
is. It
because
is.
it doesn't mean that intention equals to experience,
I
right?
like that.
If my mom and my mother-in-law, they can have the best intention, but if they don't have experience around these type of topics, seek a professional,
That's
right?
right.
Because again, the outcome is that there could be a delayed intervention and it gets worse, right? So for those out there, it's good that you obviously parents. For me, that's the first person you need to go. But for those parents who are giving advice, don't give it based on what you think, and if there's something that needs to be addressed now. I'm fully, if you go with the appointment with her, right, and you go and have that experience together, that's
Yeah,
fine.
it makes a difference.
But just don't stop anybody from just
Yes.
from having a conversation.
Yeah, no. And she was like I am so glad she's hard-headed. And she told me, no, I'm gonna go do it. And it makes all the difference. So since you've been through that, what would you say to a parent that has these suspicions like you guys did, that there's something, different about the situation than just a kid that's acting bad, but it's hard for them to get through taking him to get tested? How would you tell them to what's the next step?
It's there's no like one size fits all, right?
Of course.
That's why it's in the spectrum, because there could be children or adults highly functioning but have sensory issues, or maybe nonverbal, but you see them function. There's a wide range. There's no one size fits all. But what I would advise is that, it's very hard to be a functioning parent while being exhausted. And I would say, yeah, I would say if you're seeing symptoms that that now are harming your child, he's hitting his head against the wall, maybe he's not looking straight, he's older and there's no words, that he's nonverbal, or he's flapping. He's doing behaviors that it's not just I'm from Puerto Rico, and when we were we're outside playing baseball, we're getting dirty. If it doesn't look like that, and it looks like it's harming, it's taking away the peace from the household, there's sensory issues. You cannot put a blender on because of the noise. You cannot go out because of meltdowns. That by itself should answer
Yeah,
that question, that there's something that needs to be addressed, right?
definitely.
So I would suggest that, just before even giving any type of opinion or advice, just analyze and
Yeah.
make sure that, are those behaviors that are happening, are there, have you seen them before, that your child did it when she was little or not? If not, and it's causing damage, it's causing harm, that by itself, it should, just result in
Like give you the signs, like, yeah, go see a professional. It's like in anything else, right? If you're not a professional in something, you go to the professional. But I really do commend you for like getting beside yourself and saying, okay, let's just do it. So what has there been a difference since you got the diagnosis? Like what has changed?
Well, then comes the acceptance phase, right? Then
Right.
now you accept it and now you adapt. Now you're more flexible. You understand that there's a different meaning, I would say, of life. And, you start thinking differently. You start now adapting to a new reality that you're always going to be in survival mode, that you're always going to be in that protection mode because you don't know what's going to happen. But you also, it's going to come to a point that you need to also take care of yourself because
Yeah.
now it's different, right? Now you're thinking that that child may need support for the rest of his life, right? So now decisions need to be informed. Now decisions need to be thought in a way of two generations, not just
Yes.
one. Now you
Correct.
need to start thinking outside the box and really deep dive. And I've seen parents that they need to now prioritize what's important. I've had conversations with parents that they know more their sales commission than their child's progress.
Wow.
And it shouldn't be this way. Now it
Wow.
has to shift. So that's what I've seen, that the acceptance phase has changed completely our lifestyle, our way of thought. But again, it serves a purpose, and we're completely blessed.
Yeah, once you got that's what I'm saying. I find him I find them so much fun. And now that we accepted it, it's easier to it's manageable. It isn't as bad as when we didn't know what it was. Now you know what to do. There are techniques you can use when the meltdowns are happening. So, what do you think about society? You think as they're being accepted more people that have autism or in this new society?
Yeah, I know it's being talked about more, but I still think it's an underserved community.
Yes.
I still believe that we're in it's from a parent standpoint, it's hard for you because it's not the meltdowns, it's not everything that comes with it. It's more that you see that your child's struggling in a world moving so fast that they don't care. And it's tough. It's tough, but it's more trendy. But also, it makes me think: is it trendy because now they see it as a business?
No.
Is it
Actually, that's a question I didn't think of.
Yeah, is it trendy because there's real, intent of better? I don't know. I don't know. What
That's a
I can
long
say is,
question.
yeah, from what I can say from my side is we're doing as best as we can, and being able to not only from our household provide like a safe space, identify, what is he trying to say without saying it. We're also trying to see how we can balance out the as we're raising two children, one on the spectrum and Amanda, our child, is it's not. So we're trying to balance that out. And from exterior standpoint, that's why we have the blog, because we do feel that there's a lot of parents that are alone, and we just want to have that blog for just to serve as resource for parents that were in our journey, and we're still learning as well. You
I
know,
love it. I love that you made the blog. How do people get to the blog, if you don't mind?
or so it's www.autismvoyage.com. There you're going to see a lot of different blog posts. There you're going to see so you can subscribe to the newsletter, which goes out weekly. Resources, everything's going to be there.
What do you think is like the toughest part of raising a child that's on the spectrum? Your experience? What has been the hardest
The hardest part, it's not actually, it's not even the child. It's being able to align yourself with your spouse.
So I actually like that. So the hardest part is not the child. They're doing their thing. Got it. Got it. Yeah,
No,
but
the child, now we're talking about autism, but maybe, the child could have. I remember when I was being raised that maybe it was bad grades, or, he didn't want to do something. Children may have some sort of behavior that needs to
of
be addressed.
course.
But in our case, as long as, this can make you or break you, it's so many therapy sessions. You really need to get aligned. And when I say hard, it's not that it's hard, but if you weren't a person that communicates, now you do. Now you need to. If you weren't a person that thought about the future, now you do. If you weren't a person that, you didn't like having hard conversations, now you do. This forces you to not only see your spouse as your spouse, but also see the spouse as a partner in crime.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same.
Both need to be aligned. Any ego that's there needs to be
Bro.
that needs to stay outside.
Yeah.
All that, and I think if that's the main thing, and put everything in God's hands, at least from our side.
I love it. I love what you're saying. Now, do you think I don't like using the phrase normal, but do you think there is possibilities for children that have autism to grow up and have a productive life or fit in? It's hard to that's probably the hardest part, fitting in.
Yeah, no, that's a good, even functioning, in our case, Christians highly functioning. But in some cases, it's not. What I can say is that if you follow the routine that the therapists provide, if you're consistent, right? If you don't think your therapist is a nanny, and you do see your therapist as a professional and follow.
It's like an hour off. You get an hour off.
Yeah, 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 exactly. If you don't see them as a nanny and you see them as a professional, believe me,
Yeah.
things are going
I
things are
like
going
that.
to get better. And from our side, we took away a lot of screen time and we put him in jujitsu.
Nice. She did the same thing. Well, now with jujitsu, she puts up every week. Every week, we have to wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning to go see this guy play football, basketball, whatever the flavor of the week is. So yeah, that works, right? Keeping them busy and active, and giving them purpose. I don't know. I commend the parents that I'm the grandparent, so I don't have to do it. I don't have to deal with it all day, every day. Only
Mm,
when I visit. So, but when I see my daughter, like yesterday, I brought him to my office and he wrecked it. Well, I wrecked it with him. I have so much fun with this kid. And I give it up to parents that are actively looking for the solutions and to give
mhm,
them the best life possible. And it makes a difference. I want you to know it makes a difference because I got diagnosed as an adult. And
mhm,
so for my whole childhood, I was just called weird or slow
mhm,
or dumb or I did never fit in. And it has an impact when you get older. Like, you
mhm,
know what I mean? So I could see the trend changing for him
mhm.
having a parent that is involved. So you guys keep doing it. So okay, so you sell insurance,
Yeah,
disability insurance. Tell me
not
about that.
yeah, of course, of course. So not even disability. I would say that. Okay, so first of all, let me say this. There's no secret sauce. There's no secret product. Sometimes in social media, they put really good hooks to bring you in, and after it's the same product. I'm just an insurance agent, so anything you can acquire from me, you can acquire from anybody. The only difference is I don't just sell a policy; I sell a strategy. Why? Because I I look at it from a parent standpoint. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, but first let me tell you the areas I concentrate
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So there's three areas I concentrate based on my experience and based on me as a father that I believe I should cover. So the first one is called income protection strategy. That is basically disability income insurance that a lot of employers have it short term, long term, but usually they fall short. Usually, every year an employer changes healthcare, changes, you know, every
Starting
year.
all over. Yes, sir.
All right. So in this case, this is a disability income that stays with you. It's independent. It's just for you, and it can either replace your income for a certain time period or can give you a lump sum based on the policy. But that for me is important because if Christian, my son, he's 7 now, but he depends on me, and I'll know until when. And I get cancer, I get into stroke, I get into a car accident, I'm 2 years out, right? And my income is interrupted. I want to
Yeah.
concentrate on recuperating, not concentrate on how I'm going to pay the house, right? So that's the first one, the first area. The second area, we use life insurance to fund a special needs trust. There's a lot of parents that use real estate, brokerage accounts, saving. You can use that, and that's perfect. But for me as a father, that fluctuates. So
Oh,
I prefer having a life insurance because as long as you pay the premiums, it doesn't have to be a high one, or as long as you pay the premiums, you know that if you pass away in that certain time period,
yeah,
the trust is going to get funded. And the third one would be long term care. Because again, I don't know until when Christian might depend on me, but if I'm 80, those
yeah,
older years, and he still needs support, but then I need support, assisting living facilities and nursing homes are becoming very expensive.
very.
So this is a coverage that we basically structure that has a long-term care rider embedded or a standalone long-term care coverage to address these areas. For me, that's called a foundation because it serves if I don't pass away but I get sick, I have disability.
Got
If
it.
I pass away, the funds are going to be in the special needs trust and will not affect the family in any way. And if I don't, die early and I still need care later on, I'm not a burden to anybody else because I already have some basically a reserve that's going to pay for my services. So basically, those are the three areas I believe in. And those are the three areas I believe any parent should have when having a child with any type of condition or anything.
So this is for any disability. Actually, I'm going to talk to my daughter. This is good.
Yes, for parents, again, it's it's there's no secret product. I'm just applying these products into a problem statement
You're taking your experience, and
and applying those
that's
there.
a personal brand. That's really good for you. That is really good that that in a business standpoint, that's pretty cool. You did good in that part. So okay, so where do we go from here as far as in the realm of autism and disability? What should people do first if they want to do this planning? Well, of course, call you, right? That's the first. But what questions should they ask if they call somebody else? What should they talk?
Yeah, not necessarily. You gotta first of all you gotta feel comfortable with the person who's assisting you.
Big time.
So it doesn't have to. If after this you don't like me, that's fine. But at least seek somebody that you do like, right? That would be first. Secondly, meanwhile you're looking for that person who you feel that it could be a fit. Also gain clarity from your side. Understand what's coming in from an income standpoint, what's going out, because then you're going to know how much you have or what you need to cut off. I've seen parents that have two accounts of Netflix. They're paying for
I have like five, and I don't know why.
and you don't know why. So you just by eliminating all these extra expenses that you don't know you had or you weren't paying attention, just maybe that by itself you can use it to fund something, right? So
Oh,
I would suggest gaining clarity, seeking for a professional that because this professional shouldn't be transactional, right? That's why the service I provide is comprehensive. I really need to deep dive into see what do you have, what not, so you can build that foundation, right? But you need clarity first. You need to again look for that professional who understands your scenario, not transactional, but more comprehensive. And I would really just, after those two, seek scenarios. Think about it's like like stress testing everything. Think about any scenario. Hey,
you're such a financial planner guy. You just
yeah,
stress testing.
yeah. Yeah, like ask yourself, hey, I did the same thing. Hey, what if I pass away? Perfect. What if my wife and myself pass away at the same time? What if my wife passes away and I'm the only one survivor? And ask these type of questions because anything can happen, right? And based on your scenarios, maybe you have real estate, maybe you have a small business, maybe, you know, this what I'm providing is not an investment. I don't do investments. I don't do Bitcoin. I don't do any of them. My thing is insurance planning. So this shouldn't be
Real life
seen
stuff.
exactly. This shouldn't be seen as an investment. It's more as a
Got it.
protection, right? But that's it. I would say look for somebody that fits you, that you make a good fit, and clarity. Understand what's coming in, what's going
I
out, because
like
then
that.
you're going to make informed decisions.
And I think that's actually really good advice for anyone, regardless of disability. Now, that's a really good way to start. Does it get hard to talk about like death and stuff? Like, I always wonder with people that sell life, like, my background is Latin, so, you don't talk about that, right? So is it hard to do that or what? What do you?
Before, yes, but then knowing that you have a child, that even if you want to have that conversation or not, the issue's still there,
Yeah,
right?
it has to
So
happen.
might as well get that conversation out of the door as soon as possible, right? Because these type of conversations also help you think outside the box, right?
Mm,
Also help you think about your scenario, what's happening. And maybe these type of conversations, you want to build a business, right? Now you don't want to get employed. You don't want to be an employer. Let's say you want to now have conversations around, okay, if this is my income, I know I need to increase it. What's the best way? Should I look for another job? Should I start building a side hustle so I can buy my time back? You start thinking about the life you want to design based on your scenario. Not everybody's a business owner, but you could design in a way to get promoted to the job you want with the salary you want, but you want to make sure that you add value first.
yeah, I like that. I like that. So it's a conversation that has to be had, no matter what, and could help. It could give you that direction. Now let's talk to professionals. Like,
Mhm.
what would you say to a professional that wants to get into this industry? What should they know?
For financial services?
Yeah.
No, they got anything they do, I think needs to have a purpose, right? Not because
Perfect.
you're only doing it from a transactional base, I don't see that sustainable. And something that I've seen in the financial services is that it's very recruitment based, right? Recruit your mom, your cousin,
Your sister,
your sister, your
your
name,
10-year-old daughter, so they can be ready.
and buy her a policy. And no, I don't like that in my case. That's why I try to do everything by myself. Maybe later I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe, as things evolve, the website, I'm doing other projects, but for now, anybody who's going to the financial services industry, I would just say try to find your niche, but see it from a serving standpoint, right?
Got it.
Because it's not about just getting a license and going next week and it's closing and going to Hawaii at the end of the year, right? It's about, you want to make sure that you're thinking about problem statements. What kind of problems are you solving with these type of policies,
I
right?
like.
Is it more in the business, even for businesses, but there's a lot of business owners that don't have a plan of exit, right? Or they don't have a succession plan. So, maybe insurance can be applied there. Maybe you're an accountant and you want to talk about tax inheritance, right? And maybe life insurance can help in that, tax burden. There's a lot of things, but just, see it from a serving standpoint.
All right. Yeah, I like that. I'm telling you, good businessman. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what would parents get out of what is the main point that we get out of the newsletter if they go and visit it today? Like,
Yeah.
what's the takeaways?
The newsletter, we publish 2 blog posts a week. So in the newsletter, they're going to receive a reminder of what those posts are. We do have other resources like handbooks, guides. All these resources will be there. Also, they're going to see industry news that, maybe they haven't been able to see it. It's going to be there in a couple links, ways that they can make advantage of the community. All that information is there. So it sends out, I think, we have 2 emails right now that leave every week, one on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I'm gonna go make sure I'm on there. I'm gonna get my daughter on there because I mean the information is out there, but you don't have it. It's like you say, you don't have anyone like it's not anyone's real niche to
Yeah.
get that. So in the news currently, and I don't talk about politics, so that's not where I'm heading. But it is something that's right now being talked about a lot about the causes, and I don't know. It feels weird that this is what we're talking about. How do you feel about what's going on there? Are you and having your child in that sect of having awesome?
Yeah, I don't know. I try to stay away from
Me too.
news.
I just had to ask. Me too. I don't even know what they're saying anymore.
It comes to a point that I'm all for, it doesn't matter the party, but if there's a good intent, right, to doing something, perfect. Now, if that, the thing is, I don't like confusing interest with intent.
Yes, I like that.
You could be interested in the topic, but if you don't have any intention of solving anything, you know, that's different. So right now there's a lot of people interested in the topic and they start giving their own opinions and they start, but maybe
Hmm.
they don't have any type of intention to really deep dive and all that. So there's again, if there's a good intention behind it, perfect. What I've seen in the news that sometimes it gets exaggerated. Sometimes, what I can say is what I can control, and it's here in the house,
That's right.
regardless what happens in. So if right now what I can control is give him activity, not the tablet, giving a better food instead of junk food, give him steak, eggs,
Oh
eliminate all.
wait, God, wait, I want to be in your house.
Yeah,
I want somebody to think of that for me.
yeah. So you want to make sure that uh, y- whatever happens, either good,
Control.
bad, anybody, just try to make it the best.
I like that. I like that. Control what you can, and that's like a major self development trick. And it's good because one of the things that are intriguing is that it's so, and we talked about it. It's so a lot of people are getting diagnosed now compared to before, and I think they're talking about trying to figure out why, what happened that so many. But I think this has always been around. It's just the attention to it. We
Not
weren't
even.
paying attention back then.
Maybe it could be intention. Maybe there's some more technology that can help diagnose faster. There's a lot of things that come into play. Could be. Now, no, but what I can say again is a lot of the symptoms that Christian has, I had. I procrastinated.
Yeah.
I started a lot of things and never finished. I each time I'm in the Spotify, I don't leave the songs to finish.
Yeah. I thought I was the only one.
I also I cannot see a full episode of something. I need to start changing Netflix. All the things he does, I do, right? The only difference is again when you're seeing behaviors that are alarming, that they harming him. For example, again, a lot of the things, if he would have done those behaviors I just mentioned, I would say okay, I was the
Yeah,
same.
it's a kid.
But when again it starts head against the wall,
Yeah.
no sleeping, no, nonverbal, flapping, like flap.
Yes, I know that.
When you start seeing that, that's where you say, okay, that these are the behaviors I didn't do. My mom most likely doesn't know anything about it. I shouldn't hear her, even though she has a very good intention. Let me seek help. That's the only thing I would say, But a lot of things he has, I would say I have them too, and I still do.
Got it. But and as an adult, you've probably dealt with it. You have your strategies to go on, move on with your day. It's like
I hope so, right? Because there's a lot of
that's
you
not what
know
they told me.
exactly exactly for me. At the end of the day, I do procrastinate a lot. I do start things, but the only thing I try to do is if I did something incomplete, try to begin the next day again, right where I left off. Something. I'm not perfect. It's taking me a long time. I'm coming here into this show, but it's taken me years to have this type of mindset, right? Because Christian's 7, since he was 1 year old, he's taking therapy. It's been a long time that we were in that dark phase, that we were, going through a lot of stuff. I would, we were always in survival mode, then going through autopilot mode, just doing things because it's a routine. Or we were years without going out to a restaurant. We were years without going out to the mall because he couldn't hear the blow dryer of the bathroom. We were years. So I'm coming today, and it sounds easy, and it sounds like it sounds like a commercial, but in reality, it took us a long time. It took us a long time to just be here, right? And leaving everything in God's hands without us, it was hard leaving everything in God's hands. You know, Everybody says it, and you start seeing all these commercials, but it's hard.
It is.
So thank God that we are in a state that we're blessed. We recognize that we're blessed, and we recognize that we each morning we wake up understanding that, it's not our fault, but it's our responsibility. And we need,
I like that. I really like that one. I'm gonna use it. It's not my fault, but it is my responsibility.
it's not our fault Christian has autism, but it's a responsibility. So taking accountability, having that ownership,
Yes.
it gives you a different mindset. But I would suggest those who are hearing me, just don't think that I'm just saying this to say this. It's taking me a long time. You just think this way. It's taken us 2 years to get a blog where it's at. It's taken us a long time just to also from a merit standpoint to be aligned. Everything takes time. Everything
Let
takes
me
time.
ask you this: do you see it like as what's your like end goal for the impact you want to make in all? I don't know. I see it like if you're building your life around it. Like you're. Is it a purpose of yours to make an impact in that area?
I would say so. Again, it's an underserved community. So, now I have a couple of projects this year around building other things on top of the page.
No.
So aside from just the services, other things are coming around, partnering with other brands, taking the newsletter to the next level, see how it can impact globally, not only in US. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but it's based on this.
Nice, man. I'm happy you're out here doing it. I'm very, very, very proud of you for you seeing that need within your life and then like doing something about it. That's if we could all do that in our own spaces, I mean, the world would be such a better place. So I commend you for that. So how can people get in touch with you? Can you want to shout out all your websites and
So www.autismvoyage.com. Everything's there, from subscribing to the newsletter, the blogs, our services, the resources, everything's going to be there. So whatever you need or whatever you're seeking, if it's just content, you can read. There's right now, I think, almost like 55 articles right now.
wow. Wait, how long you've had this for?
I would say from 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years.
That's a lot of that's a lot.
Yeah. You can see there from music therapy, articles around physical therapy, articles around if ABA is only for autism, articles around haircuts for sensory issues for children, martial arts for special needs. There's a
Nice.
lot, guardianship. There's a lot of articles there. The newsletter again goes out weekly. There's resources. You have a letter intent. You have an ebook there. We're working on some more resources in the next couple of months. So there's plenty of information there.
And also, if they want to talk about getting the insurance through you, that they can find you there.
They can
Perfect.
they
Yeah.
can they can book a call.
I can see how that's like, I don't know, that I never even thought about it. Having someone like to go and get a policy with someone who has that experience and knows what you're gonna need, I think it's like it's genius. So good on you for doing it. Well, thank you for joining me. I am so glad I got the opportunity to talk to you. I love what you're doing. Keep doing. Everybody go support him, because you're not only supporting him, you're supporting the autism community and supporting your children. So thank you for joining me. It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Repeat after me. I am powerful. I am